Aloha and welcome to this practice WOD called Responsive Castle High School. I think you're going to really like this practice WOD, even though it's going to take quite a while, probably 20-30 minutes to do, because you're going to learn so much about the act of stealing user interface ideas from other websites. Even though in this case you're probably not going to want to steal much from this particular website, the general principles in terms of using Chrome developer tools to kind of inspect what's going on and adapt content, I think is going to be really helpful to you. So the idea here is that if we look at the Castle High Web School site, which we will open in a new tab, okay, what we'll see is pretty old school. It's even got the whole marquee thing going on, which you haven't seen that in literally like 10 years. And it's got this kind of gradient thing here. I don't know, a little not quite sure what's going on. But you see basically 3 columns and some useful information and a nice little banner and a nice little nav bar. So what can we do with that? Well, what I think we should do is let's give them a nice, responsive, more modern user interface, or at least let's create a mock-up of it. So this is what it looks like. You can see it's still got that cover, that banner. It's still got a nav bar. It's still got those 3 columns, but it just looks a whole lot better. And also, we're going to utilize the Castle High school colors, which are red and gray. Okay, and then to make it even cooler, what we'll do is when you collapse it to mobile size, we'll get rid of that picture in the middle. Okay, which looks good when you've got a whole laptop, but that's a lot of that's superfluous information when you're on a mobile. So we'll just hide that column altogether. We can do that really easily with Twitter Bootstrap. So that's what we're going to do for this WOD. And we got the instructions here. I don't know. Let's get started, see what we can do. Okay, so I got to go to my timer. Start. So we're going to start by creating a GitHub repo called Responsive Castle High. So let's go to GitHub. And let's create a new repository called Responsive Castle High. And we'll create the repo. We'll set it up in desktop. We'll put it in this directory, clone it down there. You guys have all seen this before. You may have some alternative ways that you like to do it. I'm also going to do the git ignore thing and put in IntelliJ, generate, Control A, copy, go over to here, go to settings, go to ignored files, paste. Now, I think this is going to be fixed in the near future, but because I'm in conversations with these guys. This is not perfect the way the default is. So I'm going to issue a PR to them, but for right now, you want to keep the .idea directory in there, but you do not want to commit those files. So we'll go to changes and we'll just say setting up git ignore. And we do commit and sync. Okay, so now our repo is all set up. And the next thing we can do is bring up IntelliJ and go to this. Go back to instructions. Where's my IntelliJ? Hello? Okay, there we go. And I want to ignore that .ignore thing. Okay, and so we'll say create new project, static web, and we'll put it in our Responsive Castle High directory, which is around here. Choose, looks good. Finish. Okay, and let's just kind of resize again a little bit so it's easier for you to see everything. And then the next thing is we want to base our design on the Bootstrap example intro basic template. So what I'm going to do is in IntelliJ, I'm going to open the Bootstrap example in a new window. So it's going to come out down here. And then I'm going to say Control C of my index.html, Control V, copy it in, and sure, we'll add it to Git, and then Control C of the style, Control V to copy it in, Sure, add it to Git. Okay, so now we're done with that, and we can make this a little bigger. And then probably what we want to do now is go to File, Open File, and in responsive capital so high, we'll put index.html, and we see this thing. And let's also enable our live reload so that when we make changes, so let's just go here and say foo, save it out. Okay, so now we're rocking. We can make changes here. We'll immediately see the changes there. So let's immediately make some changes. Get rid of the page content. And in the style file, we know we don't want those classes, so let's just get rid of them. Okay, so the other thing we can do actually to just make life super nice, we'll commit these things later and hide this for now, is we're going to divide the screen in two. Let's just make the full use of our cinema display by displaying our emergent website down here, and then the instructions and so forth up here. Okay, so the first instruction is to use Open Sans in the gray color for all text. Background color is red. Okay, so we've got to import that Open Sans into our index.html. And since I kind of forget how that works, what I'm going to use is my Bootstrap bookmarks to go to Google Fonts and get to the example. So I'm trying to show you why it's so awesome to have the to have this stuff. So I'm going to copy it in there, and let's make this a little smaller so that we see this. And then we just want to say option function delete. Oops. That's what I wanted to do. Open plus sans is there. So that loads Open Sans. And then according to the instruction, we want Open Sans in the gray color for all text. So if we go back to our index file, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to split this horizontally so that I can see both at once. Isn't that kind of cool? Okay, so what we want to say to use Open Sans in the gray color by default is we can just say in the body, font family, Open Sans. And you see how nice it is, how we get this auto completion from IntelliJ that just is really beautiful. And the gray color for all text. So we want to say color, and then the gray color is pound 999. So we'll do that, and you can actually kind of see that this is now this gray color. And the background color should be red. So let's just put that in. Background color should be pound 710 COC0C. And you can see that, see how IntelliJ is actually giving us the colors right there? That's another little nice thing. The background color, no wait. The background color should actually be gray. Background color. I think that's a mistake in the, let's look and see what it looks like. No, the background color is actually gray. That's crazy. That's a typo. I'll fix that in the instructions once I get done with this. Because it should be gray. Alright. Put the Castle High School banner image at the top of the page. Okay, so let's open that link in a new tab. Okay, so there's that. Let's save the image in our responsive Castle High School directory as header.jpg. Okay, and then let's go back to our instructions. So we need to put that at the top of the page. So the typical way that we're going to do that is we're going to say dot header image. We'll make a new class called header image, and then inside there we're going to say the background image is URL quote, and what is it, header? So I type the H, and notice how IntelliJ allows me to complete. I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. And we're going to say background size cover. And when we do this kind of div trick with putting things in, we have to always have a height, otherwise it won't display at all. So let's just try 100 pixels. And then, okay, so now it's supposed to go above the nav at the top of the page. So if I look, you know, it should be there, and then the nav bar should be underneath. Okay, so what we essentially want is a div class equals header image. Okay, and then if we save it out, okay, so we find that a couple of problems. One is it's not at the top of the page. Our nav bar is still at the top of the page, and it's not that we're not getting the full image. So the way that we solve that, if you just kind of look at it, what you can find is that this navbar fix top is a class that fixes the navbar to the top of the page. So let's just get rid of that. And as soon as we get rid of that, we see the navbar no longer sticks to the top of the page, it goes underneath, which is approximately where we want it. But we also find that this castle, we have this blank space up here. Now if you're thinking about it, you say, I know where that came from. That came from that padding top thing that we've always been adding up till now because we wanted the navbar to stick to the top of the page. Now you see why that isn't built into Bootstrap. It's because when you don't want the navbar like that, you don't want that. So we get rid of that 50 pixels of padding. It's almost perfect. We need to make this thing bigger. I don't know how much bigger. 150? No, that's not good. I don't know, 160? 170? 180? Something like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we got the Castle High School banner image at the top of the page. We got the navbar underneath. And we want to make the navbar background red and the text gray. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, what I would recommend is now you want to pull out Chrome Developer Tools and figure out just exactly where this thing is being made black. So if we click on this, what we discover is it's the navbar inverse class that's making the background color black and the border color, you know, I don't know, super close to black. Anyway, these very blackish colors. So let's just change navbar inverse to have a background color of, now here's, what was it? It's pound 710C0C. Okay, so we do that, all of a sudden we say, hooray, it's now red except for this piece that's black. That looks funky, and if we kind of click on it, we ask ourselves, why is that? And the reason is that it's got this active class attached to it. So let's just get rid of that from here. Okay, and now this is, and also this foo thing is still in here. Let's get rid of that. That's not supposed to be there at all. Okay, so now we've got our nav bar. And the question is, I don't know, let's just see if this is actually gray. See, it's not gray. It's something close to gray, but not our gray. Okay, so we need our gray there. So a navbar inverse, we're going to say color. Okay, and now look at what IntelliJ is doing now. It's providing us with the RGB values for stuff that we've typed in. So we just find our 9999. Okay, and now, doggone it, didn't mean to do that. Split horizontally. Okay. And now you can see over here that if we click here, navbar, oh, I see what it is. Okay, it didn't quite get there. We need all of this. So let's replace this by this. Whoops. All right, let's not do that. Let's make a copy of this. Okay, and do this, and then what we need for this is this, and what we need for this is this. And now if we save it out, now if we save it out, we have the navbar inverse color. Okay, so now it's perfect. Okay, so the background color for navbar inverse is that the links, and the links inside here are this gray color, and actually you can use this computed thing to kind of see all the things you want. So our font family is right, color is 999. It's all G. Okay. So let's see. All right. Oh, we got to make the navbar link names from the real site and make them 16 pixels. Okay, so let's figure out what they are from the real site. What are they from the real site? Where is our real site? Let's open it up. Open a link in new tab. Okay, so it's home page, student, parents, faculty, staff, alumni, friends. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm doing good this today. Okay, so we should say home page. Don't normally see that. Students, parents. I know why. I'm getting my, it's just option delete. Okay, I was getting my my IntelliJ keystroke. So home page, students / parents. I was going forward delete word rather than backward delete word. It's the whole Emacs thing. Faculty, staff, and then I'm going to do a propeller D to make a duplication. Option delete, get rid of that. Alumni, friends, duplicate, option delete, delete, delete. And then contact us. Save that out. Okay, and then we see, apart from a stray quotation mark, now we've got homepage, student, parents, faculty, staff, alumni, friends, contact us. So we've got the same things, and we want these things to be 16 points, so we can say font size 16 pixels. Okay, and save that out, and now you can see it's 16 pixels. Okay, make the background of the entire page gray. We've done that. Below the navbar, put 3 columns, each in a well. Column medium 3, information. A Mead 6, welcome to Castle High School, and a Mead 3, announcement. So if we actually go to Castle High School, you can see that's roughly 3, roughly 6, roughly 3. We're going to make these 3 columns or something kind of similar to that. Okay, so this means we've got to say div class equals container. And then inside there, we're going to say div class equals row, and inside there we're going to say div class equals call medium 3, and inside there we're going to say div class equals well. Okay, and then inside there let's just put a title information. Okay, so let's save that out, and you can see, okay, we've got our well, in here. That's all groovy. So now let's use our cool option up arrow trick, because we want to make 3 of these things. So we can do option up arrow to select, 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 select. Okay, now we've selected that piece. We do a Control C, and we do a Control V. There's our second one. There's our third one. We make the middle guy a 6. We replace information with welcome to Castle High School. We replace the third one with announcements. Save it all out. Okay, and looking pretty good. Okay, we've got our 2 things. Of course, it doesn't look good at all. I mean, in another sense, because everything's too wrong size, wrong colors, and everything. But what the instructions are to make the background red and the text gray inside these wells. Okay, so let's just look and inspect. I'm going to use my searchy thing. Okay, so this is in the div class well. So let's just override or add some properties to the well class by saying background color, and then we want to use our red color, which is right here. So we do that, boom. That's good, except for the border. So let's add a border color of the same thing. Okay, so now that all looks good, but that H1 is still looking pretty bad. And I think H1 font size, I don't know, 16 pixels? Something like that. And then we want them to be centered, so we say text align center. Okay, that's looking pretty awesome. I mean, you know, looking reasonable. Okay, so this background's red, text is gray. We can use our searchy thing to kind of look at that text. It looks like it's the right gray. It's open sans. It's 16 point. You know, looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have to take these 12 labels and add it to this column. Make them gray and remove the bullet. Okay, so inside the information, we're going to say UL, and then LI, and then these are going to be a link, href equals pound. Okay, so that's what one of them will look like. And then we'll use our propeller D thing. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12. And then we got to go here, and we got to copy. And this is a little tedious, but you know, in the big leagues, sometimes there's just a little bit of tediousness. I don't know how to remove it, because you know, this is what kind of makes it realistic. So we're just gonna kind of grind away here. It's not, you know, it's not the worst thing that ever happened to somebody to have to cut and paste. I won't do this in a, I won't make you do this in a real WOD. Have to, you know, duplicate 12 things. That would be drive you crazy. But anyway, we'll just zip along, copying. Only a few more. Again, you know, I have to say, it really helps to have a little more screen real estate here. Okay, so we do this, and now what we can see is that we've got it, but these things are blue, not gray. That sucks. And it's got this little disk thing, both of which, according to the instructions, we're supposed to get rid of. Okay, so let's inspect this element and figure out what it is. Okay, so it's getting its color from the A link. So let's just override that. So let's say A, and we'll say color, and we choose our gray. Okay, so that makes them all gray. That's all. So that's really good. Now we just got to get rid of that that disk thing, and I actually told you how to do it. Set the list style type to none. So we'll just say ul list style type none. Okay, kaboom. All right, so there's a bunch of links, and it looks pretty good. Okay, now let's move on to this middle column. We're going to make a Night Pride image in the middle column. So let's open link in new tab. So here's our Night Pride image. We'll save it as front page.html. And then what we have to do, so I have to make something called Night Pride image. So let's make a class called .nightpride, and the background image is going to be URL, and then it's, what is it, front page. Okay, that's good. And then I actually give you some hints, because it takes a little fiddling to get this right. So what I'm going to do is actually just copy this, because, you know, I mean, some of this stuff, I don't know. I mean, I end up just kind of having to do a little bit of, you know, trial and error to make these images do what you want them to do. I don't know how else to do it. But anyway, okay, so there's this Night Pride image, Night Pride class, which we can then simply put in underneath here, div class equals Night Pride. Look at how IntelliJ just auto-completed that. I think that's beautiful. Okay, and there we have our Night Pride. Super good. Okay, then we have to add the period schedule to the announcements column. So let's look at this period. Okay, here's our period schedule. So I'll make a copy of that, and then that's supposed to go in here. So I'll just copy it in, okay? And then in terms of formatting it, we can use another little IntelliJ trick, which is our Command Option T. So Command Option T says we can surround with a tag, and so it's made the tags around that selection, and we'll make them H2s, okay, for the titles, and then these things will Command Option T surround with a P, so there's a paragraph, and we'll do the same for these remaining ones, H2 and P. You know, it's a little tedious, but you know, life could be worse. I could be like spacing around and actually typing each of these individually. Command Option T, H2. Okay, 3 more to go. Command Option T, P, and Command Option T, H2, and then the last one, Command Option T, P. Okay. So then if we save that out, okay, we've got our announcements column, although it looks terrible. So let's clean it up. So that what we're going to do is we're going to override our size of our H2. So let's make font size, you know, something reasonably, okay, 14 pixels. That looks good. And then, you know, but the spacing looks a little weird. So to fix that, let's just fiddle around. Let's look at this guy. And what we can see is that it's got a margin bottom on our H2. Why don't we get rid of that margin bottom and see if we can tighten things up. So if we say margin bottom 0 pixels, save that out. Okay, now that looks, I don't know, looks pretty good. Okay. All right, so that's our announcements column. And then set the middle section to be hidden in multiple screenshots. As hint, check the responsive utility section of the CSS chapter of the Bootstrap documentation. All right, so let's check that. So I've got my handy Bootstrap bookmarks. I go to the CSS, what do they say, grid? No, they didn't say that. Responsive utilities, that's where we want to go. So we go down here, what we find is there's this hidden at the smallest size class that we can add. So let's go and find, here's our thing, here's our column right here. We'll add hidden XS, save it out. Where are we? Oh, we're in this guy. Here's where we are. Okay, and so now, if I resize to mobile, bang! Look, no middle thing. Isn't that cool? Okay. So if you got a whole laptop, you want to see a picture of your school, but if you're consulting it on your school site on a phone, you don't want to fiddle with that. Now this isn't perfect in the sense that I'll tell you, it still is going to download that image. So you still pay the bandwidth for it. And there's other things you got to do if you don't even want to retrieve the image. So it's not, you know, like super incredibly perfect, but it's still pretty darn nice. And anyway, bandwidth, you know, it gets better every year. Okay, commit your version to GitHub. So let's go back to, bring back my GitHub, and we'll say finished WOD, commit and sync. Okay, and that's it for this WOD 29. We're going to call it an even 30 minutes. It's pretty long, but you know, in general, I think this is a pretty decent exercise for you. Hopefully you'll learn a lot from doing it. Do it a couple times so that you feel real comfortable, and I think you'll be happy you did.